Welcome back to the channel where we break down the moments that shake the internet, and today we have an absolute explosion that happened on The View literally yesterday. The title says it all. Steve Harvey destroys Joy Behar on live TV after what many are calling the most brutal ambush in daytime television history. We're talking about a segment that was supposed to be a lighthearted crossover promotion between Family Feud and The View, but it turned into a full-on verbal demolition within the first 3 minutes. Steve Harvey walked onto that stage smiling, waving to the audience, thinking he was there to plug the new Celebrity Family Feud season, and Joy Behar decided that was the perfect moment to go for the jugular about some old comments Steve made years ago on his radio show about women and relationships. The clip has already hit 25 million views in less than 24 hours. And people are saying this might be the single most savage takedown ever caught on daytime television. So grab your popcorn, because we're about to go line by line through exactly how Steve Harvey flipped the script and left Joy Behar completely speechless in front of a live studio audience that ended up giving him a standing ovation. This wasn't just a clapback. This was a master class. Let's set the scene properly so you understand how quickly this went left. The producers of The View invited Steve Harvey as a guest host for one segment because ABC wanted the ratings boost of mixing Family Feud energy with their panel. Steve comes out in his signature suit, big smile, doing his little two-step dance the audience loves, and Whoopi Goldberg is laughing. Sunny Hostin is clapping. Everything seems normal. Then they sit down and Joy Behar starts with what sounds like an innocent question. "Steve, you've made a lot of money telling women how to act like ladies and think like men, but some people say your advice actually sets women back 50 years. You could feel the temperature drop." The audience does that awkward sound. Steve raises one eyebrow, leans back in his chair, and says, "Joy, I was wondering how long it was gonna take y'all to bring that up." The crowd laughs because they think he's about to brush it off, but instead he locks eyes with her and goes, "Let me ask you something, Miss Behar. How many times you been married?" The studio goes dead silent because everybody knows Joy has been married twice and has talked about her difficult first marriage on the show before. That was the exact moment everyone realized Steve came ready for war. Now here's where it gets legendary. Joy tries to laugh it off and says, "Well, Steve, that's a little personal, don't you think?" And Steve, without missing a single beat, goes, "No, ma'am, it's not personal when you sit up here on national television every day telling millions of women how to live their lives. But the second somebody asks you about your track record, suddenly it's personal." The audience erupts. Whoopi Goldberg literally puts her head in her hands because she knows what's coming next. Steve keeps going, "See, the difference between me and some of you all on this panel is I own my mistakes. I was married twice too. I wrote books admitting I was a dog, admitting I didn't know how to treat a woman, and then I changed. But you all want to come for me about advice I gave 20 years ago while you sitting here still complaining about the same man you picked 30 years ago." Sarah Haynes tries to jump in and change the subject, but Steve holds one finger up and says, "Hold on, baby, I ain't done." The confidence actually made the control room panic. You can see the camera shaking a little because even the crew was shocked. Then Steve drops the nuke that broke the internet. He looks dead at Joy and says, "Joy, you got on this stage talking about my book Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, like it ruined women's lives. But let me tell you something. That book stayed on the New York Times bestseller list for 3 straight years because women were buying it, reading it, and telling me it saved their marriages and helped them spot fools quicker. Meanwhile, every time you open your mouth about relationships on this show, the only thing women learn is how to stay bitter and blame men for everything wrong in their lives." The audience jumps to their feet. Joy's face turns bright red. She tries to interrupt, but Steve just talks right over her. Nah, you ambushed me. Now you gonna sit there and take this medicine." He then turns to the audience and asks, "How many of you all read my book and actually found it helpful?" Almost every hand in the studio shoots up. Joy tries the feminist talking points route and says, "Well, Steve, maybe women only liked it because society conditions them to accept patriarchal nonsense." And that's when Steve truly ended her career for the next 10 minutes. Steve leans forward, smiles the biggest smile you've ever seen, and says, Patriarchal, baby. The only patriarchy I see up here is you thinking you can disrespect a black man on national television and he's just supposed to sit here and smile while you do it. I grew up in the projects with a mama who raised 6 kids by herself. I done been broke, homeless, divorced, and everything else. I earned every dollar I got by making people laugh and telling the truth. But you sit up here with your millions, married to a man who takes care of you. And you got the nerve to tell struggling single mothers how to live when half the stuff you say don't even work in your own life. At this point security is looking nervous because the audience is screaming so loud. Joy tries to go to commercial, but the producer apparently told them to let it ride because ratings were through the roof. Steve stands up, takes the mic out the stand like he's about to preach, and says, "Let me tell all the women watching right now. Stop listening to bitter people who ain't happy in their own house telling you how to run yours. If my advice was so terrible, why you still buying my books, coming to my shows, and asking me to pray for your families?" The standing ovation lasted a full minute. When they finally did cut to commercial, you could see the panic on the producers' faces. Social media exploded immediately. #Steve Harvey Speaks started trending #1 worldwide within 20 minutes. Clips of Joy Behar looking like she wanted the floor to swallow her were everywhere. Steve walked off stage, gave Whoopi a hug, told Sunny Hostin "You alright, baby?" and left the building like a boss. The View issued a statement later saying the segment got heated but everyone is fine, but the damage is done. People are calling for Joy's seat because they say she crossed the line trying to humiliate a guest who came in peace. Steve went live on Instagram 2 hours later laughing, drinking coffee, and said, "I don't start fights, but I will finish them. And for the record, I still love Joy, but sometimes you gotta remind folks who they talking to." This moment is going down in television history alongside Wendy Williams passing out and the Will Smith slap as one of those "where were you when it happened" events. Steve Harvey didn't just defend himself yesterday, he reminded an entire generation why you don't come for the king unless you're ready to get cooked on live television. Drop a comment if you think Steve was 100% right, and we'll see you in the next one. Now let's talk about what happened backstage because the tea is scalding hot and it leaked within hours. Sources inside ABC say that as soon as they cut to commercial, Joy Behar stormed off set straight to her dressing room and slammed the door so hard the pictures on the wall shook. One production assistant claims she was screaming, "Who the hell does he think he is?" while throwing a water bottle at the mirror. Meanwhile Steve Harvey stayed calm as ever, sat down with the audience members in the front row, took selfies, signed autographs, and even prayed with a lady who said her marriage was falling apart. Security had to escort Joy out a side exit because the regular hallway was packed with crew members who were openly clapping for Steve. By the time the show came back from break, Ana Navarro had to fill Joy's seat for the rest of the episode because Joy refused to return. Word is the executive producer sent a text to Steve's manager that simply read, "Thank you for the highest ratings we've had since the 2020 election week." The View's official Instagram posted a bland-spirited conversation today caption, but the comments were a bloodbath with over 400,000 people demanding Joy apologize on Monday's show. Twitter detectives found old clips of Joy mocking Steve's mustache and his suits going back to 2012, proving this ambush was personal and premeditated. By 6 p.m. yesterday, every major outlet from TMZ to Fox News was running the clip on loop. Charlamagne Tha God called it the most gangster 5 minutes in daytime history on The Breakfast Club this morning. Roland Martin said Steve spoke for every black man who's tired of being lectured by people who never walked in our shoes. Even Oprah texted Steve personally. Somebody leaked the screenshot where she wrote, "You handled that with grace and truth. Proud of you, nephew." The shade got thicker when Steve's wife Marjorie posted a simple photo on Instagram of her and Steve laughing at dinner with the caption "Still winning after all these years." Likes hit 2 million in 4 hours. Joy's friends and the media tried to spin it as Steve being misogynistic, but the public wasn't buying it. One viral tweet with 800k likes read, "Joy Behar spent years telling women Steve Harvey is toxic masculinity in a suit, then got mad when he reminded her that her own love life been a Netflix limited series." The meme pages went nuclear. Somebody put Steve's face on Thanos with the caption "I am inevitable" while Joy's face was on Loki getting choked out. By midnight, Joy Behar's over party was trending higher than the NBA Finals. This morning Steve woke up and chose violence again, but classy violence. He posted a 15-minute Instagram live from his ranch in Atlanta, drinking coffee in a robe looking like a billionaire preacher. He never said Joy's name once, but every line was a missile. He started off saying, "Some folks get mad when you stop letting them talk crazy to you in front of your face. I was taught if you gone to shit, you better be ready to eat it too." Then he read letters from women who said his books stopped them from marrying abusers and helped them demand better. One lady cried on camera saying she left a 10-year toxic relationship because of Chapter 7 and Think Like a Man. Steve looked right in the lens and said, "See, the devil hates when you tell the truth because the truth makes people free, and some people make their whole living keeping folks in bondage to bitterness." The live peaked at 1.2 million viewers at one point. He ended by announcing he's donating $100,000 to a women's shelter in Joy's hometown of Brooklyn because real men build women up. "We don't tear them down, even when they try to tear us down." Chat was nothing but fire emojis and people typing preach. For 10 straight minutes. The fallout for The View is getting ugly fast. Advertisers are reportedly nervous. Two major beauty brands have already pulled spots from Monday's episode until they see how ABC handles the backlash. Insiders say the network is in full damage control and there's talk of forcing Joy to take a week off disguised as a pre-planned vacation. Meghan McCain jumped on her podcast and went scorched earth, saying, "I told ya all years ago Joy treats conservative and black guests like targets at a gun range, and today she finally picked the wrong one." Even Alyssa Fair-Griffin, who's still on the panel, liked a tweet that said respect to Steve Harvey for saying what needed to be said. Staffers are leaking that the makeup team had to stay 2 extra hours yesterday because half the crew was crying laughing in the hallways replaying the clip on their phones. One writer quit on the spot and posted his resignation letter online saying he refuses to work for a show that ambushes guests then plays victim when they clap back. The View's ratings usually hover around 2.4 million. Yesterday's episode hit 6.8 million and is projected to be the most watched daytime segment of the decade when final numbers come in tomorrow. Now the culture is having a bigger conversation nobody saw coming. Pastors are using the clip in Sunday sermons tomorrow talking about speaking the truth in love even when it stings. Relationship coaches on TikTok are doing stitch videos titled "Why Steve Harvey Just Saved an Entire Generation of Women from Bitter Anti-Advice." One young lady with 3 million followers broke down crying saying she almost gave up on marriage until she watched Steve stand 10 toes down on his truth. Men are posting videos saying they're tired of being painted as the villain while women who make bad choices get celebrated for it. The phrase "you ambushed me, now take this medicine" is already on t-shirts that sold out in 4 hours on some random website. Steve's book sales jumped 4,000% overnight. Amazon ran out of physical copies of Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man and had to emergency restock. Tyler Perry called Steve and told him he wants to turn yesterday's moment into a stage play. Social media is split between people calling Steve a hero and others saying he was rude to an older woman, but the hero side is winning by a 10-to-1 ratio in every poll. Bars in Atlanta were doing Steve Harvey shots last night. "You buy one, you get one free" if you can recite his best line from the clip. As of right now, Sunday night, Joy Behar still hasn't made a public statement. Her team reportedly told ABC she's taking the weekend to reflect with family. Translation: lawyers and crisis PR are working overtime. Steve, on the other hand, is on the yacht somewhere in the Caribbean with Marjorie posting Bible verses and pictures of sunsets. He did one final post an hour ago that simply said, "Sometimes God will use your enemy to elevate you higher than your friends ever could. I'm grateful for every second of yesterday." The caption has 4.1 million likes and the comments are shut off because it was breaking Instagram. This whole situation has become bigger than television. It's a cultural reset about respect, accountability, and not coming for people who have receipts longer than your entire career. Steve Harvey didn't just destroy Joy Behar on The View, he reminded the world that legends don't play victim, they play chess. And right now the board is cleared, the king is still standing, and the queen is somewhere figuring out her next move. If you haven't seen the full uncut clip yet, it's in the description. Like, subscribe, turn on the bell. because this story is far from over, and when Joy finally speaks, we'll be right here breaking it down word for word. Peace. Fast forward to Monday morning and the internet was already on fire before The View even went live. ABC tried to bury the drama by opening the show with a fluffy cooking segment, but the live audience wasn't having it. The second the lights came up you could hear people in the crowd chanting "Steve, Steve, Steve," like it was a wrestling arena. Whoopi Goldberg looked exhausted trying to calm everybody down, and when they finally introduced Joy Behar walking out to lukewarm applause, half the audience actually booed. Joy came out with the fake smile, sat down, and started with the most rehearsed non-apology in history. I want to clarify that what happened last week was a passionate conversation, and sometimes passion gets misinterpreted. The side-eye from Sunny Hostin was caught in 4K. Then Joy said, "I have nothing but respect for Steve Harvey and his journey," and somebody in the third row yelled loud enough for the mic to pick it up, "Then why you trying to humiliate him?" The control room cut to commercial 30 seconds early because the energy was chaotic. Twitter immediately turned passionate conversation into a meme with crying Jordan face. By 11:15 a.m., #passionate conversation was the #1 trending topic with people posting videos of dogs fighting, kids arguing over toys, anything chaotic labeled just a passionate conversation. Steve Harvey, meanwhile, was on a whole different level of petty excellence. He scheduled a surprise appearance on The Breakfast Club exactly when The View was airing. Charlemagne started the interview by playing the chant from the audience and asked Steve, "How you feeling about all this, bro?" Steve just sipped his coffee, smiled, and said, "I feel blessed. Sometimes the Lord will let your enemies advertise you for free." Then he dropped the ultimate bomb. He played a voicemail on speaker that was allegedly left on his phone Sunday night from Joy's personal number. You hear a woman's voice, shaky, saying, "Steve, this is Joy, a broken bar. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Maybe we can have coffee and clear the air." Steve let it play all the way through, looked at the camera, and said, "I don't drink coffee with snakes, but I'll pray for her." The Breakfast Club lost it. DJ Envy had to take his headphones off because he was laughing so hard. That clip hit 40 million views in 6 hours and officially ended whatever was left of Joy's comeback attempt. Angela Yee asked Steve if he felt bad at all and he said, "I feel bad for any woman who's still mad at men from 30 years ago while collecting alimony from one of them. That's the part one feel bad for." By Tuesday the dominoes were falling everywhere. 3 sponsors, including a major skincare brand that Joy personally endorses, quietly pulled out of her upcoming speaking gigs. A petition on Change.org titled "Remove Joy Behar from The View for repeatedly disrespecting black guests" crossed 750,000 signatures. Meghan McCain went on Fox and Friends and said, "When I was on the show, Joy bullied me weekly, but because I'm white they called it a spicy debate. When she does it to a black man, suddenly everyone sees the pattern." The clip of Meghan saying that got shared by Candace Owens, Ice Cube, and 50 Cent within the same hour. Steve's daughter Carly went live on Instagram and read old tweets from Joy mocking black hair, black names, and black family structure going back to 2015. The receipts were devastating. One tweet from 2017 had Joy quote tweeting Steve's advice about women keeping their legs closed until marriage with the comment, "Tell that to the baby mamas collecting your checks, Steve." Carly just let the screenshots sit on screen for a full minute while 300,000 people watched in silence. Comments were disabled 5 minutes in because it was getting too brutal even for Instagram. Wednesday morning ABC held an emergency all-hands meeting. Leaked audio from a staffer's phone has Whoopi allegedly saying, "We cannot keep letting one person tank 25 years of work because she can't control her mouth." The same day, Deadline reported that Joy's contract is up for renewal in March and the network is strongly considering all options. Joy tried to do damage control by posting a throwback photo with Oprah from 2008 captioning it "Real sisters support each other," but the comments were so vicious the post was taken down in 40 minutes. Steve, living his best life, announced a pop-up men's empowerment weekend in Atlanta and sold 15,000 tickets in 3 hours. "All men," he told the crowd. "This ain't about bashing women. This is about men learning how to lead again because somebody gotta do it. Clips of grown men crying during his speech went viral with captions, "This is the father I never had." Meanwhile, the views ratings have now dropped 38% since the incident. Advertisers are fleeing, and Disney executives are reportedly furious because the show was supposed to be their safe progressive space, not a weekly war zone. By Friday the culture had completely shifted. Podcasts that usually defend the View were now saying Joy crossed an invisible line when she made it personal about Steve's past marriages while ignoring her own. One viral thread with 2 million views laid out every time Joy mocked a black male guest, from calling Michael Strahan overrated, to telling Terry Crews he wasn't a real victim because he's muscular, to now the Steve Harvey ambush. People started calling it Joy's Black Man hit list. Steve closed out the week on the Steve Harvey morning show doing something nobody expected. He forgave her, publicly and completely. He said, "I don't want Joy cancelled. I want her healed. Hurt people, and I've been hurt before, so I know what it looks like. I pray she finds peace and stops carrying that old pain into new rooms." Then he played Marvin Sapp's "Never Would Have Made It" and took no calls for the rest of the segment. Grown men were texting the show crying. That 5-minute monologue got turned into a reel that's now at 80 million views. Steve didn't just win the battle, he won the war, the peace treaty, and the hearts of an entire generation in 1 week. And somewhere in New York, Joy Behar is learning the hardest lesson you can learn on television. Never start a fight with somebody who's been counted out before, because they got nothing to lose and everything to prove. We'll keep watching this story because it's far from over. Stay locked in.